Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Business Coaching Secrets. Another great episode in store. This is your boy Road Dogg with the man, the himself, the king, King Karl.
Yo ho ho, Road Dogg. How goes it, my man?
Going well in these trying times. You know, for some of us, it's business as usual. Nothing has changed. I'm still in my office by myself, doing everything virtually. You know how that goes.
I do. So tell me, man, what do we got cooking? I'm going to guess we got some coronavirus questions is going to be my prediction of the day. Tell me how I did.
Well, it's, of course, everyone's trying to adapt, obviously, as quickly as possible. And I think it's pretty safe to say, I think we're all realizing that what a tremendous sort of opportunity or, what's staring us in the face right now, right? More than ever, business owners need help. And I think this came from the movie The Big Short, but I heard somebody say it the other day. And I think it's a really important point. I was actually going to post this, but I believe they said in that movie, for every 1% drop in the GDP, it's estimated that 50,000 people will die because of poverty. So when we take a look at this and the uncertainty of all of this going around, I just think it's like, just think of the impact and how many businesses won't be able to reopen as a result of this shutdown. And again, the uncertainty of not knowing how long it's going to last. So I would say, I don't know about you, man, but I'm sure you're in the same boat, but never ever have we ever, been called to step up and just try and help as many people as possible.
Yeah. In 90 days, everyone will be looking back at this as the number one opportunity to build your coaching practice. And unfortunately, many will finish that statement with that you missed. And then others are going to be able to, but it will be the minority because that's just the way the world works, that took advantage of it. But without doubt, this is opportunity on steroids. And actually, Road Dogg, I just want to speak to your point there because look, what you just said, I get no doubt that is exactly true, but we've got to be careful. Like, not everybody in the world is flat broke. Not everybody is hand to mouth. Not everybody doesn't have 90 days up their sleeves, for their company, for their family, etc. To survive. So you've got to be cautious to just, roll around in your office and just think to yourself that, geez, how am I ever going to get paid? Do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people are looking at this as everybody's on sale. People are on sale. Ads are on sale. Opportunities are on sale. Businesses are on sale. Most definitely stocks are on sale, real estate's on sale. So it's just, you know what I mean? It's a slight shift, in thinking, but the bottom line, you've got to see we got to be looking at the positive, man. That's that. You don't have another option. So.
Well, the crazy part is you make a good point there. Everything's on sale. Like you talk about an opportunity to really finally cement yourself as either the coach or the business owner in the marketplace. And guess what? Like, Facebook ad costs have come down between 30 to 40%. Like, just think of the impact. And never mind, man, I can't even imagine any sort of print media or anything like that, how much that's been reduced, because I'm sure everybody's pulling their ads, but this is the time, like you say, this is the time to double down, right? Like, you're not doubling down in your business right now. What are you doing?
That's it, man. You need a new car. You're about to buy it for significantly less. Just everything is on sale. So it's a slight mindset shift. Goes without saying, but that's looking at the, careful. CNN, don't look at it. Fox News, don't look at it. Your Facebook feed, to a large degree, everybody wants to share. Oh my God, everybody who's dying is under 40 and all that stuff. It's not true. The end. Yes, a few people have died that shouldn't have died, and I throw up in my mouth when I think about it, brings tears to my eyes. But at the end of the day, you can't let that adjust. That can't be what you're focusing on, or you're in big trouble, right? Well, actually, no, it's not that you're in big trouble. You'll just be one of the minority who don't take advantage of this. And when I say take advantage, I've also got to follow that up with, look, this isn't I don't want to, all of a sudden turn this into, oh, wow, this is amazing, and I'm so excited, and I wake up in the morning going, oh, thank goodness this happened so that I can go get a bunch of ads for free. Absolutely not. But it's happening, and you've got one of two options: either step up or move out of the way. And I suggest everybody listening, step up. But don't be one of those people that in 90 days missed it, because that is happening without question.
100%. And the one thing that I'd love to add here, Karl, is when we're sitting here, it comes down to clarity, right? Clarity in terms of who you're serving, who you're helping, and all that stuff. Because when you're really, really clear, we don't need to go back into it, but for you, it's very, very, very clear who you are here to help and to serve. So when I look at my ideal client avatar, and folks, you better have one of those and be crystal clear, to the point, Karl, I'm sure you've heard this story, right? But Russell Brunson, when he started ClickFunnels, he actually had printed off a picture and he named him. And so he looked at that picture every day. And so you've got to be very clear on who your ideal client is and put yourself in their shoes. What do they need from you right now? And before you post another COVID-19 whatever online, take a step back and go, what does that person need from me right now? What do they need to hear?
Yeah.
That's just my 2 cents.
I would agree, man. Love it. I love the photo. Brunson put a photo and named him. That's awesome, dude. That's awesome.
But talk about crystal clear, being crystal clear in terms of clarity for who is your ideal client, right? And it's just it. When you're that clear and you can just sit there and look at that picture or have them in your thoughts and go, man, that person's suffering right now. That person's lost. That person's confused in their business. They're trying to reinvent themselves. They need help. And it's up to us to go and call them and reach out and help them any way that we can, because that's the only way that we're going to all get through this. And that family, what about the impact on that family, right? This firsthand. So I'm preaching to the choir here, I realize, but this is it, man. This is an opportunity for you to make an impact on that ideal client and that family and in that business. So there you go. That's me on my soapbox.
Good job. Good soapbox. All right, we got some questions, man.
Let's do this. All right. So first question here. During these tough times, what is the best way to help a coaching client manage cash flow? Ooh, that's nice. I like that one. Especially we're talking about doubling down and stuff. How do we help a coaching client manage cash flow, Karl?
Okay, there's no miracles. I think you got to start with that. You also have to be realistic with the situation. People are well, look, they should have had a strategy, but unfortunately the strategy needed to be, being undertook over the last, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, etc. And that hasn't happened. So you got to start with, you're not a miracle worker and don't pretend to be. That being said, also cash is king. So if you're thinking moving forward with your coaching clients and you're looking towards the next winter, economic winter, nobody is right now, the expression cash is king, everybody's heard it, but I think now folks are really understanding what that means. This is not a time to get strategic. This is a time to get tactical. I've often talked about that. When I take on a coaching client, in the first 90 days, it would be a tactical. I went tactical, okay? Because why? I wanted to put runs on the board. I wanted to have some short-term successes so that my strategy and my bigger thinking, I'd have more leeway, right? They really built into it. But the bottom line, be thinking tactical. You've always got one eye on strategy, but highly tactical. I think also here's a problem. What folks are doing is they're spending time and mental bandwidth concentrating on the problem that isn't, okay? The problem that they can't solve. You need to concentrate, your client needs to concentrate, you personally need to concentrate on things that you can actually solve. And the coronavirus is not one that you can solve. Yes, you can do your part, and you can go to Facebook and scream at everybody to stay home, which yes, they should, right? I agree, on board. But I've got some contrarian views coming in the not too distant future along these lines, but I do agree everybody needs to stay home. I don't think we should be bloody happy about it, but I think we have to be staying home. And you're not going to solve that problem. So don't spend 5 frigging seconds solving that problem. Again, don't spend time on Fox News and CNN and reading your bud's forwarded message on Facebook talking about how horrific it is. It's not going to get you anywhere. Get tactical, get to your cash flow. So on that note, you got to go straight to your accounts receivable. You got to go straight to your coaching clients' accounts receivable. You got to look at what's aged, as in like what's owed and due. Go collect it. You also need to look at the amount. So if somebody owes owes a large amount, and then somebody owns a small amount, one of the things they could do, say they owe you, they owe your client 20 grand, 50 grand, it might be 100 grand, whatever the number is. Let's just say 20 grand. Well, they could say, look, obviously times are a little bit tight right now. Would you be willing? Would you pay me? I know it's due in another 10 days, but like so many, cash is king. Would you be willing to pay us now, and we'd accept $17,500, like give you a $2,500 discount? That's an example of something you could do, because you need to have money in that kitty. You don't know how long this is going to last. Your coaching clients don't know how long this is going to last. This is what the intelligent folks do. Also, the probability. If something's like 6 months old and the guy's out of business, look, sure, make the phone call, but don't expect the money in any way, shape, or form. And if the list is long, don't start with that guy. That's not the one that you're looking for. So again, going to your accounts receivable, going more like strategic, like moving forward. I can tell you if they are there's restaurants all over the place that are sitting here in a cash crunch, and they're realizing how much wastage they have had in the past, right? Like the story goes that the restaurant owner gets the call from the wholesaler, to bring in, the lettuce and the carrots and this, that. They're super busy. They're stocking the bar while the guy calls, and he says, look, just bring us what you brought us. Just bring what you brought last week. Bring what you brought 2 weeks ago. That's a constant. This is just not the way. Wastage is going to be a huge problem. It sucks cash. And just not an intelligent way to run your business. Again, I think this is maybe getting a little bit away from the question, but absolutely bloody critical. And in fact, I want to finish with this one. And this is one that, frankly, a lot of the folks listening, you're not going to understand it on the level, and it's not going to have the impact that I ideally want it to be. But with that said, I want you to understand this and continue to understand it and put it into your subconscious mind so that you start. Accounts payable is one of the most like when I look at financial statements, accounts payable is one of the ghastly errors that I see on a regular basis. And it looks a little bit like this. The business owner is inexperienced, as in they might be experienced graphic designer, but they're a horrific business owner and just don't get it in a financial statement. They think a tax return is a financial statement. Having the attitude that you don't like debt and you like to pay everybody up front is about, it's breathtakingly stupid. The end. Okay. And believe me, you've got a ton of clients just like that. They say, oh, I don't like debt, right? It's, if you went to the bank, and I'm in the process, I'm completing a book right now, co-writing a book right now on accounting. So it's Accounting 101 for business coaches, how to find your coaching fees, how to find your high-end coaching fees before you start with your client. But a big part of it is this accounts payable. Okay. And we wrote, a significantly longer chapter on this in this book than anybody would have probably suspected when they opened it. But you really need to understand that you've got to guide your clients. If they could go to the bank and get a 90-day interest-free loan from the bank, would they? And the answer is, if they didn't, it's almost stupid, right? Like, why wouldn't you go and take that money and put it in the kitty? Because remember where we started this, cash is king. And everybody's now understanding that you don't go out of business because you run out of ideas. You don't go to business because you run out of opportunities. There's one reason and one reason only. Any business in the world goes bust, and that's that they run out of cash. They don't run out of accounts receivable, right? They run out of cash. The end. Okay, so accounts payable is one that is, incredibly busted. And remember, not everybody is flat broke. It's like, actually, I'm going to go one more place here, Road Dog, before we end this one. Another one to manage their cash. What they're doing is they're going to their staff and they're thinking, look, I'm going to do an above, across the board. We're a big team around here. We're going to do a across the board 25% pay cut so that we don't have to, chop anybody at the knees. And that's going to give us a real, team feel. As a rule, you're going to find that will be a mistake. First of all, you don't know how long it's going to last. Okay. So again, somebody could end up getting chopped anyways. But really, businesses are built on A players. Again, get that one tattooed on your forearm. Businesses are built off A players. So who are your A players? And these are the people that you protect. These are the people that you work with. These are the people that you go to when you're in, challenged times and elevate them. These are the guys that you keep. These are the folks that you work with, these are the ones you go with, and across the board, 25% chop. And what you're going to find is when you let somebody go, when you go back in 3 months and 6 months and 9 months and 12 months and want to get them, often they're available anyways. So I've had that come across my desk multiple times, like my computer multiple times over the last couple of weeks. At a 25% above the board chop is so common, but it's not necessary. And this, in some cases, this is not black and white, Road Dog, right? This is a very general vanilla type topic, but 25% across the board will be their first instinct. And this is not where the most success has been found if you go over the last 100 years. So that's it, man. That's how I'd managing cash. You're not a miracle worker. Cash is king. You got to go at accounts receivable. You need to get tactical. They need to pick up the phone. And this is not a delegated task. This is not, hey, who's my right-hand man? This is the owner of the company in many cases, or certainly, the dominant person in that company to step up, make some phone calls, collect some cash, because you don't know how long this is going to last. And this is important. So there you go, man. That's what I'd be saying about cash flow, and a very important topic and a great question, by the way.
Okay, so now I'm just going to jump ahead here, just a question here, because I think they're kind of related. Again, folks, the more specific you are in your questions, right, the better that we can answer these. But the person asks here, and I have a feeling this is very much related to what you were just talking about. Why are so many people in trouble so quickly? Again, Karl, I realize it's kind of open-ended, but to decipher that with the best.
Kat, this again, just because they don't understand. Why accounts payable? What I just said a minute ago, because people just don't get it, and there's a really good chance you're listening to this. And again, I'm not trying to. It's just I'm telling you, it is 10 times more important than you've probably ever realized, and quite frankly, that I can bring across on this podcast. People are messing it up big time. Again, they wanted to pay everybody. I call it sweetheart syndrome. Okay. They want to pay everybody up front because they don't want to owe anybody money, and they love the idea of paying people, by the way. Like, this actually excites them, which is great. Okay, high five. But that same individual that I just described, I guarantee they suck, at collecting their money. Think about the stupidity of this, okay? If you have an accounts receivable problem, that means that, let's assume it's a business that drove traffic on the internet. You drove the traffic, you brought in the lead, you had a salesperson start the sales process, finish the sales process, normally takes multiple, contacts. This isn't just an overnight thing. You've had a salesperson take up their time and focus to close the deal. You've paid commissions on, because if you got a salesperson, no doubt you're paying them. And it's either, a bonus plus a wage. You fulfilled the services. You've paid all of your staff, that focus, that time, those resources, and you've done all of that and more. And then you know what you did? You didn't collect the money. And then here's the breathtakingly stupider part. Then you go and drive more traffic on the internet and double your ad budget, etc., thinking that accounts receivable are going to solve your problem. If you have an accounts receivable problem, you are a boat in the middle of the lake with holes in it. And what you're doing by driving more clients, and this is, once again, this is gray, not black and white, but what you're effectively doing is grabbing a bucket, reaching into the lake, and bringing more water into the boat. And I'm describing an enormous amount of businesses, and these are the ones that are in enormous amount of trouble really, really quickly, right? Like they didn't have a strategy. You got to understand, there are 4 seasons, okay? There's summer, there's fall, there's summer, and then there's spring. Every year they come in the same order, the end. Okay, well, like the economy does the exact same thing. It just doesn't go up and up and up and up and up and up forever. I was on a cruise not long ago with some heavyweight, marketers and business guys, and I sat down with a guy, and he's either talks an insanely good game or he was like a heavyweight. And his words to me were, look, Karl, there is nothing on the horizon. And this is in January, so this is a few months ago. And he's like, he looks into my eyes and he's really trying. He's a caring dude. This is a 1.5 hour conversation, certainly an hour conversation. Like we went in depth, and this is a topic that I'm very passionate about, right? Wealth. I mean, we were going deep, and I was really curious about this guy, his background. He goes, look, there is nothing that can happen in the economy right now, and again, this is a guy with 50 years of experience, that could take it down. And I just looked at him and I said, dude, the fact that you're saying that to me, it's the exact same. It's the same thing people were saying at the beginning of 2008 about the damn, real estate prices in the U.S., right? Like they couldn't go anywhere. It's like when people start saying that, when you get in a taxi and he starts giving you, wealth advice, stock advice, and real estate advice, you sell everything that he talks about. The end, okay? Because it happens all the time. So, this is just, there's going to be, strategically, there's going to be seasons, okay? But people weren't ready for this season. And unfortunately, different than the seasons of the weather, you just don't know when it's going to come. And you need, again, a topic, asset allocation, just for your own home life, is something that you need to study and understand. But that's it, man. Strategically, people just weren't ready for it. And that's that. In fact, and there's also, what level are they operating? Like in business, there's 3 levels. There's retail, wholesale, manufacturing. That's a very simplified view of it, but that is it. Those are the 3 levels. The retailers get punched first and the hardest, straight in the mouth. The end. So my question is, are you operating at a retail level? Are you operating at a wholesale level? Like one of the things that the coaches that work with us, once they have some semblance of success and the high achievers, we say, you need to build a team of coaches. And one of the reasons why you need to do this is you want to get away from the full-blown retail space, right? You want to start moving up the food chain, and you can do it very quickly because we have a program. I'm not here to sell the program. What I'm trying to sell is moving up away from retail and operating at a higher wholesale manufacturing level, and doing it quickly. Should you do it like in a week? Should you do it in a month? Should you do it when you're ready? Well, that's what people say all the time. I say you need to put a coach underneath you, and they say, Karl, I'll do it when I'm ready. And guess what I say? You're never going to be ready. Reasons come first, answers come second, right? It's one of the, again, take that one, death, taxes, and that one. Reasons come first, answers come second. So not understanding that, and just, look, I'll finish with this, Road Dog. The economy is a Ferris wheel, okay? The difference with this Ferris wheel is that it continues to rise, but it will always go up and down, up and down, up and down. Okay, here's one, guys, subconscious mind time. I want you to remember this one. You make your money on the way up, and then you do whatever you can not to lose it on the way down. Did I say that right? You make your money on the way up, okay? And then you do everything you can to not lose it on the way down. And how does it work? You make money, the economy goes up, the Ferris wheel takes 10 years to go up, and it takes months to come down. Strategically, that's, again, metaphorically, that's your weather, that's the pattern, that's the, the different seasons coming. You have to protect yourself. You can get lucky and make it. You can't get lucky and keep it. Okay, again, and by the way, so where are we at? We are coming down in record speed, not a surprise to anybody. We are about to come up and expect to come up for, I'm going to assume, definitely 5 years. Hopefully we get another run of 10, and then it's going to come down just as quick. What's it going to be? I don't know. Maybe it's going to be another virus. Never it's going to be another 2008. Maybe it's going to be another 9/11 type situation. It's going to be a war. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's going to happen though. I guarantee it. The end. And it should take 5 years, but does that mean in 3 years you're not protecting yourself? No. Does that mean at 5 years you hunker down and you assume that it's going to happen every day? No, but one eye on strategy, but it will come. So You got to protect yourself from losing everything. So asset allocation, do you take all of your money and put it in the stock market? Well, if that's what you've done recently, you just, in record, you've already halved your money and it's about to get a little bit worse before it starts to get better. And then the real rocket scientists go and sell. In fact, I wrote an email about this and literally got email after email. Should I, in some form or another, should I sell? Should I sell? Should I sell? Are you bloody crazy, right? Like, again, how do I answer that question? But I understand where it comes from, because you figure, and what's the psychology behind the person asking me if they should sell their stocks? And then again, when the real estate toilets, they'll ask if they should sell that, because they go, it's just going to keep going down. And you'd be correct, but it will also do the other. Remember, what does the Ferris wheel do? It corrects itself and comes up. So again, another one for the subconscious mind: never sell assets during tough economic times. If you have to, remember, cash is king. So if you have to on a tactical level, then you've got to survive. But it's never advised, should never be the game plan. And yeah, so there you go, man. That's the reason why people didn't realize they were on a Ferris wheel and it was about to come down. And I sat with a very, very intelligent guy only a few months ago with, big ticket, done very, very well, huge hedge fund. He looked me in the eyes and said, nothing is going to happen. I can't remember what he said, but it was definitely a year, and it could, I think it was 12 months. It was in that. He's like, nothing's happening for 12 months. Take that one to the bank. And I'm like, I looked at him and said, that means I should sell everything, but hey, have a sip of your beer and let's talk about something else. So there you go.
Have you emailed him since?
What's that?
Have you emailed him since?
Yeah, no. In fact, you know what? I could definitely find him, but that's not I got significantly more important things on my to-do list, man, than sticking that guy's nose in some dog poop. But anyways.
So
all good, dude.
Now, Karl, here's the thing, right? Obviously, we're all sort of, I wouldn't say scrambling. I would say pivoting is a much better word in terms of realigning, readjusting probably our businesses. Because the next question here, again, it's very broad. And I know that some people are like probably tempted to throw their hands up in the air and just start brand new. So, the question here is, what advice would you give me for navigating the coronavirus? Like, it's pretty broad, but what do you say to somebody? Because again, there's so many different directions you can take this. So what's just your general sort of sentiment on that? Like, what are your thoughts?
Okay, the instincts are to, just like anything, it's to go to new. All right, so there's all of a sudden these changes. This is not the time for new. This is time for basics. When a hockey player falls into a slump, okay, so like Jerome McGinley's a guy I'm going to throw out there. You may or may not heard of him, legend goal scorer on steroids. When he fell into a slump and wasn't scoring, the coach didn't come to him and say, look, man, you know what? You've been right-handed for a long time. This isn't working that well. I think you should try shooting left. Or, you know how you scored 50 goals last year, which is an enormous amount of goals? You scored 50 last year going bottom, underneath the blocker. I think we should start going crossbar down and change everything. Or I think you should become a defenseman. I think you should become a goalie, right? Even as I say that, you don't need to understand hockey to know that's about the stupid, it's never going to happen. What do you do with the Jerome McGinley? You bring him to the absolute basics. You put him in front of a TV, you put film up of his past successes when he was scoring like will, and you basically put that in front of him, put him in a positive mindset, and get him cranking. But you come back to basics, the exact same thing for a baseball player. The guy's making $20 million a year, by the way, right? These aren't some lightweights, little leaguers. I mean, these are guys making $20 million a year, and they come back to bend your knees, elbow up, eye on the ball. Like it's the basics of the basics. So the instinct is to go to new, and that is not this is not the time for it. End of story. And again, I've said this in a lot of emails. Like I love to talk about, punting on 4th and 1. If you left it up to the quarterback and the coach, right? What do you think would happen on 4th and 1 90% of the time? Go for it, go for it. Guys are coming off and the fans are booing, right? And I'll just tell you, there's a reason why this guy is the coach, right? They didn't pick him by accident, and the reason they picked him is because that's when everybody's booing and the quarterback's throwing his helmet, that's the guy who still agrees that, punting on 4th and 1 is the right tactic. So this is time for defense. My dad was a professional poker player back in the day, and again, he'd often talk about like you gotta stay in the game, right? Like how do you get knocked off of a poker table? By running out of money, the exact same as business. So really, again, and it might sound, well, look, no, it doesn't sound anything. It's the sign of the times. The goal is to survive. The end. The same way at a poker table, your job is to survive. Your business needs to survive. And this is more talking to slightly bigger companies, by the way. I think that's relevant. Like you're just a one-man show and, to do. I mean, this, surviving, all you got to do, if you could feed yourself and your family, then you survive, right? Which, by the way, also needs to be the goal. Hopefully we're, at least a level above that big time. But for the businesses with real overheads and they have $100,000 happening, whether they get out of bed or not, right? Like this is a reality. Like, my own company, you have 13 full-time staff, growing all the time. I got a full-time software engineer. He's actually starting on April 1st, right? So it depends on when you're listening to this. So this is in a few days, April Fool's Day, which kind of seems a bit ironic right now. And we're talking, this is big, right? But timing is just horrific, but it just is what it is, right? You just, you bang on. But if if $100,000 happens, whether you get out of bed or not, right? This is how you go backwards real quick. This is how the burn rate can suck you up and just, again, you don't survive. So it's it's time for defense, Road Dog. That's the instincts are to go to new, and this is time for more basics. And that's not to say, okay, well, under all circumstances, black and white, you don't do anything new, because maybe there's something they bloody well should have been doing. They've been talking about it for X amount of time, and it might work. But this is where, again, tactically, you got to go into weighing pros and cons. And there's a chance that in one individual situation, that would be a home run. But this is where you got to be a good coach. What do I always say? Like a real mentor can tell you what not to do, right? In fact, I sent that in an email. Like recently, just any dickhead can sit down with you, including your own family and your sister who has never run a business, has no clue, your brother who's failed in 19 businesses in a row. Oh, here's what you need to do. And everybody gives you a long to-do list, right? This is why coaches, inexperienced coaches, lose their clients in record time, because they sit down with them. Overwhelm is your enemy. If you go and do a SWOT analysis of a coaching business, the threat to the coaching business is overwhelm for the client. They cancel, but of course they never cancel. They tell you how amazing you are and how much they appreciate you, which just please blow that up. That's stupidity. Don't accept that. It's not true. It's not what's happening, right? They're canceling. That is the reality. Deal with it and understand why. And the reason why is you gave them a bunch of things to do. They were already overwhelmed before you met them, and that's why you probably got the gig. And now you're giving them more stuff to do, and it's a bit of a, you know what I mean? They get overwhelmed, and they tell you that they're going to call you in 90 days, which of course never happens, right? They're not calling you in 90 days. It's the same when somebody buys advertising. Oh, look, it's amazing. I appreciate you guys and the publication, but you know what? I'm not sure. I'm going to look at some other things. I'm going to press pause, and I'll call you back, and I'll start it again in 90 days. 90 days never comes the end. Remember, your job is to survive. You don't want to lose clients during trying times. You've really got to fight. You got to play defense, defense, defense. The same way you don't want to sell assets, you don't want to be losing clients. So that's that's my answer to that one, man. But it's a challenged, and to be lying to say anything other than it's a challenged environment. But this is where, Road Dog, you kind of started off with this, like, this is where you got to put your big boy or big girl pants on and step up, and you're going to have to work for some folks. Like you can get the attention. Why is this the biggest opportunity of your lifetime for your coaching business? Maybe that's a great question, right? It's like, well, because you can get the attention and have a very deep conversation with somebody who you'd never otherwise meet. In fact, an example I gave in one of our internal calls recently is I remember I was backpacking. I was like 20 years old, took off, went to Australia, ended up by myself. I went with there's four of us in total, 3 buds. I waved goodbye to them reasonably quickly. We just had different goals for our trip. And I said, guys, you keep going, and I hope you do well with the girls, but I'm looking to, understand a new culture. I want to understand Australia. I might want to stick around a little bit longer, blah, 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 blah. And they were off, right? But I ended up by myself, and what I found when you're backpacking, when I met somebody the depth to this day, right? Like, I mean, we're talking, we're coming on 30 years ago. To this day, some of those relationships that I had, like this one Scottish guy, Gordon, like I'd love to catch up with a guy. Another guy, Mad Dog. Those of you guys have followed me for a long time, you remember a story about Mad Dog where he wouldn't jump off a cliff? And I was laughing at him like you've never seen anything. The guy's nickname's Mad Dog, right? All the girls are jumping, and he's sitting up there picking his nose, eating his fingernails, going, "Oh my God!" I'm like, "Mad Dog, you've just lost your nickname, bro." But anyway, so the depth and the breadth of those relationships. Why? Because you're so vulnerable, right? Like it's a weird kind of dynamic. We're in those times right now. You can get the accountant on the phone where you would have never got him on the phone. You can get him listening. You can connect at a really, really deep level. Business owners, well, they're literally sitting at home picking their butt going, "What the hell?" asking us questions like the one we're answering here, Road Dog, right? So you can get attention and set yourself up, and disturb people by. Right? So if I do a speaking event, my goal is not to get a standing ovation. I don't want you to stand up and clap your hands. If you think about the entire motion behind that, that's you standing up and then waving towards me. If I do a speaking event, the ideal scenario is you'd be there in tears with your head in your hands, right? Like I don't want you to tell me how great I am. I want to move you. And the way I do that is by disturbing you. Okay, well, everybody is disturbed right now in a very real and tangible way, no matter who they are. I mean, look what's happening to the world, right? Who could not be disturbed by this? It freaks me out. Going to happen again, by the way, so prepare yourself. So it just freaks me out. So disturb people by, there's a lot of disturbed people out there. You might need to do some scaled pricing. So if you're a $2,000 a month coach, a great little hack for you is just close them because of the crazy situation that you assume is going to be gone in 90 days. Do a 500,000, 1,500, then it's $2,000 a month, right? Like do it that way. So anyways, yeah, that's how I'd answer that, my man. But there's some crazy times above us, but some folks have got to step up and the others got to move out of the way. And in the end, the strong will survive. And I think some coaches are going to look back at this and go, wow, a couple of those relationships, a couple of those clients that referred a bunch of folks really set me up to have, the absolute best year yet and to build the business coaching practice that I've really been dreaming about. So there you go, boss.
So you mentioned poker. So I have to make a comment. Right? Like you can't just make a comment about poker and just assume that Road Dog's not going to make some. Folks, here's the situation. Okay, if you're one of our coaches and you happen to find yourself at maybe our annual retreat and you're across the table from Carl in the poker game, here's the trick: just wait 2 hands. That's all you got to do. Wait 2 hands, and he's going to be out. It's a guarantee.
I am horrific. My dad. So to expand upon this story, we really got to tell the story of us playing Road Dog. That was hilarious. But anyway, so my dad is a professional poker player. To this day, he plays poker every day, mucking around online, just farting around to do, right? But the World Series of Poker and that sort of stuff. Like my dad was playing poker when poker wasn't cool, right? And he'd disappear for a couple of days at a time and come back with a big mitt full of money, and it was kind of funny times. But anyway, so I intentionally, because I love, like, the way I see the world now is I kind of advertise and I market instead of gambling, right? But so poker is something that I grew up around and I kind of just figured it was best to avoid. So anyway, so I intentionally don't know how to play poker, but I love the idea of, like, I'm competitive on bloody steroids. So Road Dog and I are playing, and basically, I don't know, 2 hands. I think I lasted longer than 2 hands, but let's put it this way. I had to buy in many times. Remember the guy, we were having a beer, and then the guy afterwards looking at me going, "Are you sure your dad's a pro, man?" Like, what the hell?
That was, but again, you sell it so well. Like you tell the story about your dad and Shorty, just he's the man. And then you show up and it's like, did that skip a generation? Like his Sage is going to be an amazing poker player. I have a feeling.
Anyways, there you go, man. There you go.
All
poker,
right.
It's good.
So let's get back to what you are good at, and let's have a little fun with this one, because I just like just to kind of do something a little bit different. But just to finish this out here, what's the most clever business idea you've seen in the past, say, 10 years?
Ooh, the most clever. business idea I have seen in the last 10 years. So, okay, I want to make sure I give it the best. So what my thinking is, I just want to make sure that I give it the right answer. But I think that the question comes from a place of as though the idea makes the business. And that, remember this one, it's not what you do, it's how you do it, right? What do I also say? Don't do what you love what you do. Kind of says the same thing, but polar opposite, right? Like I love hockey. Well, when I turned hockey into a business, I very quickly hated it, but you know what I mean? I sure as hell didn't want to show up to the hockey rink, on Tuesday night. So if you really love something, turning it into a business, quick way to hate it. So you've got to reframe that and think, you got to love what you do, right? Love the marketing, love the interaction with the client, love the results that they're getting, love building, the website, the sales funnel. By the way, no such thing as a sales funnel. It's a sales series of cliffs, but I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. But anyway, so just make sure that, the nature of this question, I got to make sure that I cover that. Don't think for a second that, a mousetrap could knock it out of the park and a mousetrap could end up, sending you bankrupt. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. Always remember that. But the best business ideas I've seen, well, look, a two-way channel, I think, is super duper powerful. So if you don't understand that, if you've ever seen Uber, Airbnb, all these businesses that get like these 100 billion, like guys, understand 100 billion is just like insane. Remember, a million seconds is 8 days. A billion seconds is 32 years, right? So like 100 billion is just like, that's just an enormous amount of money. So for these guys to get these types of valuations, you should really understand I believe that the impact of that should make your eyes water. Like, holy smokes, that's a lot of money. So how do they do it? That's what I want to answer. Airbnb, Uber, these other two-way channels, eBay was one, Amazon is most certainly one. So what happens is the same place that I go to put my room up for rent on Airbnb is the same place that you go to rent my room on Airbnb, right? Get that? So that's a two-way channel. eBay, the same place that you go put, your golf clubs up for sale is the same place that we go to get it. So you've got, the Uber, the same place you go to become an Uber driver is the same place you go to hail one, right? So that in itself is very, very powerful. When I franchised my business coaching company back in the day, basically what I would do is you'd pay, and then I didn't provide you, it wasn't a full-blown two-way channel, quote unquote, but what I do, I was very good at, the lead generation and getting the clients. So you would come in and pay, it was about 50 grand. What I would do is I would give you 5 clients in exchange for your 50 grand. So the nuts and bolts of it, I basically exchanged 50 grand for 5 clients is the way it hunkered down. And that's why it was so easy to sell. And then those 5 clients act as your training and you are cranking. But no doubt I'm trying to give you a practical example from the coaching space as to how that would work for you guys. So two-way channel. Also, actually, you know what? The most clever business model, we were writing the book on accounting for business coaches, which, by the way, guys, is going to be a game changer. I got to tell you, everybody should be reading that bad boy. Some of the content, honestly, it's almost too good to just place straight in a book that will sell for $39 or whatever it will be. But here it is. Dell Computers. Michael Dell. Nobody kind of refers to this guy. I don't think. I don't think of him in the same ilk as Bezos and Gates and the late great Steve Jobs, etc. But I think he should be right there. And how he did it, his numbers aren't as impressive. But what is impressive is his profitability and his business model. So you want to know a business model that I get down and bow to. So here's the story in a nutshell. Back in the day, Dell Computers would have roughly 90 days stock on hand. So you'd call, order your computer, right, or do it online. You'd order your computer, and then they'd go, to the warehouse. They'd pick it up, they'd package it up, and then they'd send it to you. And they had roughly 90 days on hand. Pretty straightforward, right? Michael Dell comes in. He goes, "Look, guys, got 90 days. That's cool, but we got to get this thing down to 60 days. They go, "Whoo, Michael, do you look at these numbers and the efficiency and the number of staff and everything else and the parts that we need and how long it takes to make these things. Do you think this is a good idea?" He goes, "I don't care. Find a way to do it." The end. They managed to do it. He then comes back very soon after and says, "Guys, I want to get this down to 30 days. Like, we're on a roll. Let's do it. He goes, look, the production manager, he's just like, honestly, Michael Dell, dude, you're God and everything else, man, but we're just not going to be able to do that. They get it down to 30 days. You probably imagine where the story is going. Back to 14 days. Well, do you know today, when you go online and you buy a Dell computer right now, okay, they started at 90 days. Do you know where they're at? You buy the computer, they don't have it made. They make it in 3 hours. Okay, so they make it in 3 hours, ship it, and then it's at your door. Okay, once again, like accounts payable, I want to make sure the impact of this sinks in. What do you think happens to 90 days of computers when they come up with a new computer or a new part, or remember the CD-ROM goes by the wayside, and now you can't sell a computer with a CD-ROM. You look like an idiot, right? So like a lot of their stock is wastage, right? So inventory doesn't, goes into wastage. No doubt, pretty same way that the lettuce goes bad at the restaurant, same thing in the computer industry, right? So and how fast do things move in the computer industry? And the answer is very. What we've seen over the last 10 years, it's eye-watering when you really look at it. And when you really look at it from where it was 10 years ago to today, it's just like, holy smokes, right? Well, think about their business model. Michael Dell, he gets remember, cash is what? Cash is king. Okay, so it comes back to basic principles of business, that why are so many people in trouble right now? It often comes back to their business model, the overall strategy. Michael Dell has exactly, when I say no inventory, it's not quite that, but fundamentally when you call, they do not make the computer until you pay your money. The money's in the bank account, right? Call it $3,000. Now they go to work on your computer. Now they ship it out. Do you think Dell computers are in trouble right now? The answer is absolutely no, because their business model is like thumbs up on steroids. Another example I'll give you that I love watches, right? I got 50 watches and I buy them all the time. My wife goes crazy, but I love watches, right? So I'm online I bought this Italian watch, right? And I'm like, oh my God, that looks so cool. I love it. Of course, the picture is much better than the actual watch that I got, which is still pretty cool, but not quite. But anyway, so I go to the watch, boom, I pay my dough. I'm expecting, like Amazon, man. Like I'm thinking, so what if I get it tomorrow, the next day, man? I can't wait to see this sexy new watch, right? I can't wait to wear it. Well, they send me an email and it says, congratulations. And I can't remember, it's like like you can expect, congratulations, we're going to work on your watch. And then something to the effect of I could expect to get it, I think it was 60 days. And then they went to send me a weekly email to tell me where it's at. Well, once again, I want you to think of their breathtakingly intelligent business model. How do you think most watch companies are operating? How much inventory do you think they have? How much wastage do you think they have? And that wastage is not wastage, watches getting thrown in the bin or donated to the Salvation Army. It's cash lit on fire, because all of those suppliers needed to be paid, and all of the salespeople that got on the phone and then convinced the retailer to stock them need to get paid, right? So I want you to think about and our business, again, the way we operate at my company with our coaches and whatnot, my software, again, it's very much, and believe me, don't think for a second that I wasn't thinking about Michael Dell's, not so much Michael Dell specifically, but that business model to put in place where it's like, well, hang on, how can we get paid before we get started? Right? It's very, very powerful. It's a totally different way of thinking of what most of your clients are thinking, and possibly you're thinking, and maybe just, where you've been directing your clients in the past. So I would, the two-way channel, and then that whole inventory thing, and just understanding cash is king, the power of what I just explained to you in terms of a business model, I think is just incredible. And many of your clients won't be able to go in that direction, for whatever reason. It's just impossible. Well, it's never impossible. It's just that their business model is currently, and the business, like Michael Dell, understand that most people, like computers before then, you'd stock your computers, you'd send them to places like Best Buy and sell them retail. And he went, no, I'm just going to go direct to consumer, right? Like, again, that was a mindset shift on steroids. Lastly, just one. I can't say, people ask me a great business model. I'd be 1-800-GOT-JUNK is a company that I used to get down and bow to, right? My background is licensing franchising. So I just 1-800-GOT-JUNK. They have a couple other businesses that they run or own, started, created. One is wow painting. You might have heard of that, but they come into a house and they paint it in 24 hours. Boom, boom. They bring huge amount of staff, and boom, in 24 hours. What's the challenge when you get your house painted? That it stinks forever, and you're out of the house and you're living in a construction zone if you're walking around them. So they come in, boom. One day you get a hotel, you're back in, and kaboom. And then they have another one. It's called Shack Shine, which is if you've ever had your car detailed, right? So you like to keep your car clean. You don't just get it clean, but you get it detailed. Well, they own a business where they do detailing for businesses. But the bottom line, all are incredibly simple concepts, right? Like I would never start a dental practice. I would never start a chiropractic clinic. I would never start an engineering firm or, go hire a bunch of architects and get going in the architecture space. Would never be interested in that. Too complicated, too difficult to replace the staff. They're too expensive. Possibly a rabbit hole, Road Dog, not to go down today. But 1-800-GOT-JUNK is a company that I used to get down and bow down to. Incredibly intelligent marketers and a great business model. I think what I'm trying to get across here is the simplicity of the business, right? It's just coming, and what kind of dickhead couldn't just work out how to get to your house, pick up your junk, throw it in the back of the truck, give you a bill, get paid, and then leave? Pretty straightforward business model. Now today, Salesforce.com, right? So like Focus.com, we're going heavy into software. We got more and more software coming out, profit acceleration software. We've got digital acceleration software coming, and a bunch of other like software. We're going heavy. So Salesforce is a company that I've researched. In fact, I'm reading right now. I can't think of the book, but that's okay. That Mark Bianoff, his book that's out. I'm reading that right now. Very, very good book. So there you go. So that's what I'm going to say, man. But careful not to. Okay, I'm going to answer to finish this way, Road Dog. Careful not to think that the idea is the critical bit. It's not. It's not what you do. It's how you do it. 7-Eleven is like a confectionery store, right? Well, they franchised all over the world. I don't know what it is, but it's worth $100 million. They better adjust their business model. They're going to be in trouble, by the way. But 7-Eleven as an example, again, McDonald's, like walking into a hamburger stop. There's one on the corner from not far from where you live, but then there's McDonald's. It's not what you do, it's how you do it, right? 1-800-GOT-JUNK. Again, who couldn't buy a truck and go pick up a bunch of crap? But then they franchise it. Their lead generation is very, very clever, etc. There's incredible power in that. But the idea is not the X factor. The way you execute the idea is the X factor times a million. There you go, bud.
Awesome. And now just to sort of wrap this up, because I know we're starting to go a little long here, any closing remarks?
Any closing remarks? I want to play you all individually at poker. And I'm going to kick your you-know-what. In fact, I think what we should do, Road Dog, I should play you at poker. We should film it. We should put it up on YouTube so everybody can see. And I'm going to take, what, everybody agree? Everybody listening, I'm like, well, I can hear them all screaming. That's what we're doing, Road Dog. You and me, bud. We're having a poker off, and I'm going to kick your you-know-what.
The only person I can screaming, Carl, the only person I can screaming is Tammy right now going, oh, please, dear God, don't do it.
No, I'm going to finish with, but again, cash is king. Really, again, we've all heard it. We all think that we understand it. I hope that I'm explaining with things like Michael Dell and the watch company and some of this other stuff that we talked about today, just the importance of it. Accounts payable, again, understanding the psyche behind somebody who wants to pay everybody up front because they don't like the idea of owing people money, the insanity and the stupidity behind that. That's why they're in trouble right now. So I want to leave them with those three words, man. Cash is king. Here you go, bud.
Awesome. All right, man. Awesome as per usual. And again, everybody, thanks for tuning in to another great episode of Business Coaching Secrets with the man, the myth, the legend. He may not be the Tiger King, but he is the business coaching king, King Karl. And if you want more information on how to build your coaching company, please check out focused.com. And again, if you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with an existing coach or someone that you think would be a fantastic coach. Anybody that loves Tony Robbins or personal development or is just good at sales, highly motivated type, people like that. And of course, we'd appreciate that if you get the chance, please rate the episode. You know how these iTunes and all these places work. It's all geared towards the reviews. So please leave us a review. Of course, if you like what you heard. But that's it, folks. Have a fantastic week. Get after it. And we'll look forward to catching you next time. And remember, progress equals happiness.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0 to train business coaches how to find any small business owner more than $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. This becomes a business coach's superpower. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at Focused.com.